So for this week for Rhino, I told everyone this is the last week anyone could buy coin until the coin goes live. And we're projecting an opening price of $1. And when people ask me, well, how are you projecting an opening price of $1? It's simple supply and demand at that point. Because our system is built that we know the demand, X amount of people own X amount of coin, they're going to receive X amount of coin on a monthly basis, we already know the coin that's being held. In terms of demand, when we go ahead and build our payment system and put the hook in the transactions, if we have X amount of companies doing X amount of transactions a week at X amount dollars, we can multiply that number and say, okay, in aggregate, we are doing $500,000 in facilitating business transactions with coin. That money plus how much coin is already owned gives us a sense of how much coin is going to be in demand on any given week. When we know the demand, we can manipulate the supply. And manipulate's not the word I want to use because it has bad connotations, but we could apply the supply. We have 1 billion coin. We don't need to release 1 billion coin into the market right away. We don't need to swamp the market and crush the price of the coin. So if we know there's $2 million worth of demand, we can release 2 million coin. And we're using low numbers. Obviously, the numbers are going to be far higher than that. But if we equal the demand with the supply and understand our growth rate, like this many more people are coming in, blah, 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 then we can effectively create a market that has an equilibrium of $1. And then going forward, we'll be able to project the growing demand and then undersupply that. Meaning if we're growing at $1 million a week, we could add 900,000 coin in supply. So on paper, again, this is on paper, by mathematics, we could guarantee a coin is not only stable, but it's increasing in value. And anyone that purchases an asset, if you can buy an asset that's stable and guaranteed to increase value because we're pulling the levers in the back end, well, that's the holy grail. Now, not only is it the holy grail, but what's our market? 99.99% of businesses, and that's not hyperbole, that's an actual statistic, of businesses in the US are small businesses. So if we could go ahead and create the messaging, yeah, Google's for companies and Rhino Street's for businesses, and we're able to go ahead and absorb that in such a way that everyone that comes on is happy because the coin's moving up, we have a really long path. Like we have a runway that's like, holy shit, this is the team that created the next Google type of thing. And I don't think and the thing is, when you say something like that, it's like, okay, well, you don't have Harvard PhDs, you don't have buildings, you don't have this. We don't need to. It's all built already. We're just inputting a messaging. It's almost like Google and the search engines were like, we're going to keep a monopoly and we're just going to do everything's paid for. And we're like, we could do it without being paid for. So we're not competing with you, and you. We're competing with your business model. And when there's two people competing for the same business model, there's a choice, one or one. And when we're able to be chosen either or, that's a really big thing. So that's kind of the bigger picture of it. And as I was speaking to people this week, because we're closing off the coin, we're identifying and focusing the coin from, all right, instead of the coin being used to invest in the platform, let's use the coin to grow the platform. So if we already know the success that mathematically on paper we're able to do with the coin, and everyone believes that, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe this pen's worth $1, well, you'll buy it for $1 until proven otherwise. So as long as we're able to continually prove that the pen's worth $1, great. What I mean by that is because we're highly localized in terms of a search engine. By the way, Steve, can you hear me or did you just freeze and disappear?
Oh, I can hear you. I just had
Oh,
something in my eye.
oh no, go ahead. I just didn't know if we lost you. Okay.
No.
So because we're highly localized, it is quite important that we're able to find a Trojan horse or a conduit into people's own communities. Now, the people in the communities, everyone I spoke to on the phone, they're like, oh, are you still doing an affiliate platform? Are you still doing rewards? You know, if I suggest a business, what do I get out of it, so to speak? And that's when it hit me. Well, that is our holy grail. If we can go ahead and incentivize people to actually do the legwork and recommend their own businesses in their own town, holy shit, like that is what we want. So how do we do that? Well, we have an asset that is worth something to the people in our community. In a fair chat, you know, maybe some people will say, oh, Rhino Street, I don't know what they are. They're never going to reach it. But that's not the people we're talking to. We're only talking to the people that are already in Rhino Street. So those people already truly believe it. So how do we incentivize them to go ahead and recommend businesses in their own town? Two ways. One, we take the coin away. They can never buy it anymore, but they still want to own it because they're like, wow, this is going to be big. I wish I could buy more, but I can't. Okay, well, you can get more coin. You can not only participate and be a part of growing the platform, but you could also go ahead and earn coin. Well, how do I do that? Well, Mr. Jones, go to suggest favorite business and just think of every business in your town. In fact, just sit there and suggest every single one. And because what we're going to do is we're going to give you 25 coin for every business you suggest, but we're also going to give you 25 coin as a bonus for every time those businesses opt in. Now, the way our suggested business works is they go ahead and give us their name, their email, their phone number. But the data point that they give us that's unique to suggesting a business is that line, what do you love about them? So we can go ahead and create an auto emailer. When Steve recommends V's business, we send it to Steve. Hey, Steve, we just sent out the invite to V. Really great job. Your 25 coin is on your ledger, in which case we'll automate that. But we send the email to V. Hey, V, your friend Steve, everyone's a friend, it's a neighbor, suggested that you list on Rhino Street. This is what Rhino Street is. He says he loves that you make the best cookies in town. And obviously V's a cookie company. That's why Steve said that. Now V reads that email like, I know Steve, this is my community. This is a great idea. And Steve is telling everyone how much he loves my cookies. Like, why wouldn't I opt into that? If we're correct that that conversion funnel is going to be quite strong, then effectively we're able to mobilize every single person to be and again, another bad word, virus, but it's the only thing I can think of that spreads, that's going to allow everyone in their community and spread to infect, again, another bad word, but infect everyone into it. And on top of that, we now have all of their data. So whether they opt in or not, we now have a data sheet of these are all the businesses in 10001 area code. These are all the businesses in 07728 because we already motivated somebody to give that to us from the front lines, which means now we have a retargeting campaign. Hey, Mr. Jones, you were invited a week ago by Steve, by John, by Ralph, and you didn't get in. Maybe you need to know this, and this about us.